Hello everyone, this is Lolly. I have a new idea for you today. If you are tired of the endless to-do lists that you created, let's turn that around and start making to-da lists. So I was thinking about this week and how I have endless lists of things to get done, and I feel like that list is bogging me down and the list just keeps growing and I never really feel like I'm making headway. So I decided to make to-da list, which means I'm actually like celebrating the little accomplishments I've made throughout the day, things that have been on my mind, and instead of always having to tick off things and looking at what I didn't get done on my to-do list, I can look at what I did accomplish. If you don't want to do this system, you can use it as a gratitude list. You can just write things that are great things that are happening in your life, some positive things, other accomplishments, or you can follow along with me and celebrate the little tasks you've done and completed. So I have made 2 of these. They're very small, and I figured this way they will slip into my purse. They're very slim, but you can make them as thick as you want. So I am using the Let It Be collection by Graphic 45. I have this download that I'm giving you. It's free. If you have a friend who wants the same download, please send them to this video instead of giving them a copy of your download. This is what it looks like. So this is the 8.5 by 11 sheets. When you cut it right down the middle, you're going to have this. I think I've been doing like 5 or 6 sheets, and this is what I came up with. And then for my cover, I'm using a piece that's 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. And then I would like to just round those off, the corners here. I'm going to use the 1/4 inch. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just so excited though. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to fold, kind of line them up, fold them in half as best I can. I'm not even using I'm not scoring them. But I am using the Ergo Bone Folder. I'm going to get them here and line them up across the top. And you know, when you have a lot of pages and then you fold them, they're not going to be perfectly aligned anymore. So I am going to line them up and then use this ruler to trim off the pages so they're all even. I'm just going to make several cuts. And you'll notice I'm using this really awesome ruler I was given at Creativation. And it has this lip here to prevent me from cutting myself. There we go, perfect. And then before I put this in the book, I'm also going to round these corners off as well. I think I'll do, they do get through a lot of pages when you have the corner chomper, but I want to just like do half the booklet at a time. So I've got that. I need to prepare this. Now I can decorate my cover before I sew this, or I can decorate it after. I like to do it after. So I'm going to put this right side up, and I am going to score this. Let's see, this is 8 3/4, and I'm going to score that at 4 3/8. So in other words, it's between 4 1/4 and 4 1/2. So when I line this up in there, my notebook, the cover is a little wider or taller, if you're looking at it this way, than the actual papers on purpose. And then what I want to do to help me poke my holes here, if you don't have this tool, it's okay. You want to find your center of the papers. And so since this is 5 1/2, that gets me at 2 3/4. Right there. I'm just going to put a little dot there. And then you can do another dot like 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches that way. But I'm using this tool, so I'm also going to, I'm just going to mark right here so I can see these lines, because that will help me a little bit later. And then I'm going to clamp these together so I don't lose my grip here. All right, and I am using this bookbinding tool by Weir Memory Keepers. What I do is I just loosen the bottom and I completely take the top one out so I could slide this in there. What I'm looking for when I'm looking at this is, let's get that somewhat put in there, but just loose. I'm looking at that one, the center hole, to see that it goes through one of these. And then those little lines that I drew, I'm looking to make sure that those are right in that crease. And when I get that, I can line this up. And that's because my paper is kind of an off size. Normally you can just put it right down to the bottom here and punch your holes. And so I'm going to punch that center hole here, and then I can choose wherever I want this. I'm gonna put it 6 holes out, and I know that every black outlined one is 2 away, so 2, 4, 6. And there's a center again, and 2, 4, 6 from there. And that's all I have to do. And then I can loosen that up, slide this out. And I'm just tightening those up so I don't lose the screws on that. And then I'm going to use some black waxed linen. I like waxed linen because it doesn't stretch over time. So my stitching is going to be between these outer holes here. So I'm going to put enough off the bottom to know I can tie it, and then go up to the top hole and then back to the bottom hole and just trim off again enough to be able to tie it off. And then I just need a tapestry needle. And I know tapestry needles come with that set that I just showed you, the book binding set, but I also have my own here. Now this is called the pamphlet stitch. And I'm going to come through the front. Depends on where you want your knots. I want my knots on the inside. If you want your knots on the outside, then come in through the back. Leave enough to tie a knot with, and then come up either the top or the bottom. And when you tighten it, you want to pull them away from each other this way, and I'm going to come down, and I'll pull it toward the bottom, and then I'm going to come back in through that center hole, and this time I'm going to come on the other side. I'm going to come on the other side of this long line there, the long strip. So I have 2 strands right here. They're on either side of this long strip, and I'm just going to tie that in a double knot. Give it a nice good tug there. And I like the strands to be a little long, and that's where I'm going to leave them right there. Now, I did still have the little pencil marks here. Oops, wouldn't you know, I grabbed a crummy eraser. Shoot. Okay, well, we've already committed. Okay, I can unhinge that, and this is the front. Isn't that pretty? So I want to put a little bit of a decoration here. I have these scraps from the paper collection, and I have this scrap here I think is really pretty. I want to measure right about here, and I think this scrap will be just fine, but I need to see how high up I want this to be. That's pretty good right there. So how high is that? About 1 3/4 inches. I'm going to trim that. And I do know that this is a little wide, but I can trim off the excess. I think I'm going to go up just a little bit here and leave that yellow down there. I have my glue tube. This is a Lawn Fawn glue tube, but once it was completed or emptied, I cleaned it and rinsed it, and then I filled it with the Barely Art glue. Okay, so I do have this a little bit hanging off here. And now I need to see how much of this is going to fit here. I think I'll do it this way. And of course you can distress your edges if you want. What I'm going to do is to clamp these just because they want to pop up since it is rounded right there. The supply list for what I'm using will be under this video. There. And while that's doing its thing, I want to prepare for my exposed tied knots on the inside. So I have a little circle punch. I believe that's a 1/2 inch, and I need 4 of those, 2 for each tie. Okay, now that doesn't take long, so we can open this up now. I like to use the tiny attacher as well. Now this stand, I've been incorrectly stating that I got this from Etsy. I know there are sellers on Etsy who carry it. I got mine at my local scrapbook store. And I wanted to correct that. I've been stating that incorrectly. And so I sandwich the end of that tie right there in between two pieces of cardstock. Now I have used star punches, I have used heart punches, I've used butterfly punches, and then I staple over that to really make sure that I've got a good seal there, because it is kind of hard to glue onto the waxed linen here. Okay, and that is so fun. Now on this one, you can see that I used a butterfly punch on that one. And on this one, I also did the circles, but then I put little sunflower stickers on one side of them. Isn't that cute? So this is a really, you can see it was really fast to put this together. You could embellish even more. I love putting a little bit like chipboard embellishments on covers, but I don't want them so thick that when I turn it over and write, it's bumpy. And because this is a thin, not thick notebook, I find that when I open it up to write, any bumps are going to cause me grief. So that's why I chose on these to just keep a completely flat cover. I love them. So there they are, all three of them. I think they are so fun. Make sure you look down below to get your copy of the Ta-Da list printout. And again, make sure that if you have a friend who wants this insert for herself, that you just send her to my video instead of just giving her your digital download. Thank you, and I hope that encourages you like it is encouraging me, because I just needed to have this affirmation of seeing that I'm actually getting things done every day.